Hello, welcome. Our fourth and final video on putting in columns. And in this video, and with all the previous videos, what we've done is we put in columns to support an exterior roof deck. And it's a second floor deck, and it's going to be supported by these columns. It's going to appear to be supported by these columns. And it adds a nice little architectural finishing touch to it. You don't necessarily want to have your floor cantilevered out that far. It's probably not structurally very sound if you do it. And what we want to do here in this video is to, for the deck is to put those columns in to make it look like it's supporting those columns. And in this film, we're going to show you how to adjust those columns in order to make it look like the columns actually come into the bottom of the deck. Unlike walls, when you put in a floor on top of walls, it will ask you whether you want to terminate the walls below that to the bottom of the floor. It doesn't really give you that option here for the columns, so we're going to have to do that in a little bit more of a manual way. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's click on that column and go over to our properties palette and see what sort of options we have over here. So it says that, let's click on that again. Make sure we have that selected. It tells us that it's going from the base level of floor 1 up to top level of floor 2. It gives us an option here for a top offset. So let's try a negative maybe 1 foot and see what that looks like. And what it does is it takes our column once we press the apply button, and it gives us probably a couple inches down here where we can continue to play with. So it's a little bit below the floor. We probably want to correct that, so let's go ahead and while we have it selected, maybe make it a negative 11 inches. Press enter, apply, and it looks like it comes pretty close to the bottom of that wall, and I think it's acceptable for this demonstration. So let's go to our 3D view and kind of take a look at that. Kind of a really big deck. You may not want something quite this big, but it does have the columns in the bottom. And the nice thing about this, if we go to one of our floor plans, floor plan 1 is where we actually drew out these grids on. Let's go ahead and change these back a little bit. Now remember, we can't really click on that dimension and change it. We have to, even though it's blue, it's somewhat interactive. And I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. What we have to do is click in the grid line in order to change that dimension. So let's make that 10 feet even. And probably the spacing here is probably okay too, but if you click on that, let's just be consistent with the other ones. Let's go ahead and make that 10 feet. And now to bring that back a little bit. Let's go to our floor 2 and adjust our floor. So if you click on our floor up here, which represents our second floor deck, let's edit that boundary a little bit. And maybe move this line back a little bit. We don't have any dimensions on it, although we could make that a permanent dimension. Take this dimension and put it over here on that line and then change that. Oop. Let's go and click on our line in order to do that. Change that, maybe make that, we want to make sure it sticks out a little bit over the edge of our columns. So green check mark, and yes, we wanted to attach the targets. We didn't really want the walls to connect there, but let's go ahead and look at that in the 3D view and see how that looks. Yeah, so that looks a little bit better. We've adjusted the height of this column. It comes to the bottom of that wall, or that floor. These two columns need to be adjusted yet too, because you can see them popping out actually through the bottom of that floor. But that's a little bit of work you need to do on your model if you want to do that for a deck or some other supporting structure. And you probably want to put a grid line out here too in order to support a group of columns that would support the roof deck that we drew. Something else that's missing on the roof deck is a door that would come out onto the roof deck and railings that would go around it. I'm going to leave those architectural details to you. So thanks for joining me.